welcome back to the Packy Run podcast. My name is AJ. If you were hoping to hear Tom Brady's voice on this episode today, you are going to be sorely disappointed. La Gambina.
And I am Dan. Sorry if you fell. Actually, there was one person that fell for this April Fool's joke. Mayot. Hilarious. They're like, how did you get Tom Brady? I'm like, come on, bro. Seriously? Like,
that was a
I was like, what day is it today?
that was some quick thinking on your part for sure. When you texted me and you were like, hey, do you have a screenshot of us FaceTiming? I was like, yeah, I guess. Like, what are you up to? I was at work and I sent it to you. And then it was like an hour later or something. I went and scrolled through Instagram and I was like, the Packy Run account just posted a story. I wonder what this is. And I just started laughing.
You know what I thought of? I thought about that time when these random kids somehow got Tom Brady on FaceTime.
I remember seeing that story.
That's where that photo is from, if you're wondering.
That's too funny.
It's been 2 weeks since it's been like a week and a half since our last show. A lot has happened, and the
time gets away from you.
Yeah, it kind of does. Glad that we're not taking a month off from in between some episodes. We're actually being pretty consistent with it.
No more big hiatuses. Just scheduling conflicts will happen, but we said we were going to be consistent, and damn it, we're being consistent.
Yep, we're still doing this. We have some Patriots news to talk about. We have NFL news to talk about. And we're going to go in on some music stuff. The Grammys happened this weekend. We have a Joyce Manor record that turned 10 years old this year. Or yesterday, rather. Yeah. And we're going to chat briefly about Taylor Hawkins, because I think he's made certainly an impact in both of our lives as music fans.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So first things first, it's been a week and a half. How are we feeling? How's life? What's going on? What's new?
I mean, dude, I am feeling a little sick. I'm feeling a little cold right now. But hopefully this shall pass. No, just working and doing my thing, selling a bunch of tickets. My dad's friend he like moved to Florida, and he was gonna throw out all these like old records, but my dad was able to save them. And these are some pretty good fucking records. We got Led Zeppelin, we got a bunch of Kiss records, and like Queen, like an AC/DC, Judas Priest records thrown in.
Nice.
Like all vintage, like original, like vinyl that you would probably spend like $30 a pop at like the record store down the block.
They all just landed in your lap.
Oh, dude, I am so excited. I have like Pink Floyd albums. I'm not a big Pink Floyd guy, but I mean, like, I got the two most important ones, The Wall and The Dark Side of the Moon.
There you go.
So I have a Bruce Springsteen live set.
Nice.
So that's sick. Glad to be expanding my my record collection there.
Yeah, I've been getting the itch with so many, like, I feel like the past 2 years or 3 years, it's been kind of slow as far as new records for me that have like really blown me away or that I've been really anticipating. And in just the last probably year, there's been so many that have come out or that are going to come out that I'm just super excited for, and that's got me like the vinyl itch is back.
Yeah, I kind of want to get.
Yeah,
I want to get Little Greenhouse by Anxious.
Yeah,
and I want to get that new Turnstile record. There's like the two on the top of the list right now.
Yeah, the Turnstile one is kind of hard to find. I went looking at a couple of different places and couldn't really find it. It looks like they're working on getting new pressings, but with Record Store Day and all the other big artists constantly taking over the pressing plants, it's a little bit difficult. And we talked about that in the previous episode.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Yeah, that new Drug Church record is one that I really want to get, especially because there's some really cool variants that they're doing for like Newberry Comics and independent record stores, things like that. Little Greenhouse is a great call out, and one that I'm going to be anticipating that I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit later in the episode. I think it was literally today that Joyce Manor announced that they're putting out a new album.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And the lead single is real good. So excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And yeah, I've been fighting the urge to go to the record stores and do all that. And it's mostly just been work and a little bit of play. Mostly just hanging out with some friends down here whenever I get the chance, cracking open a few cold ones with the boys, just guys being dudes.
Yeah. I went to my buddy's band When Without. They just put out a new record. So shout out to them. It's called Sun. Check it out on Spotify. Caught their release show. They did very well. Sell it.
I saw pictures of you.
Oh yeah, gotta get in there.
Get in there and support the scene.
Yeah, gotta get in there and support the scene. Gotta rep LOL gear. I got my my LOL Lock Monster hat right here. Shout out minor league hockey.
Yeah, dude, I've been searching and I cannot find them anywhere. I really want to find a Brockton Rocks hat. You remember the Brockton Rocks?
I don't remember. Were they a hockey team or what were they?
No, they were a baseball team.
Oh man, I also want to find something related to like the LOL spinners too.
Yeah, I should search on some of the secondhand websites and stuff like that because I bet I could find the Paw socks before they became the Woo socks.
There's a good thrift store. It's located in Salem, but he also does a bunch of online sales too. And his Instagram is Felt Fanatic, and he is, if you're looking for old school sports vintage gear, I would go to him. He has a good selection. That's actually where I got my LOL Lock Monster hat from.
That's awesome.
So shout out to them.
That's such a funny crossroads of punk rock and sports fandom that we're interested in AAA ball teams and lower league hockey teams and whatever else and want to rep that merch.
Well, I was talking to I saw my parents this weekend and I went out to lunch with my mom after filing my taxes or something like that. And we were talking about the spinners and we were talking about I think it was just the spinners we were talking about because baseball was coming back and I don't think the spinners even play in Lowell anymore because Major League Baseball has just gotten rid of a lot of the minor league teams, especially the ones that aren't making money, which is
most of them, I would assume.
Yeah, most of them are not profitable at all. Anyways, I was distracted by a couple different things. And growing up in Lowell and that kind of area or Tewksbury, we couldn't really afford to go to a Red Sox game. Right? Red Sox games are kind of expensive to go to, for a whole family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $30 per ticket, and that's in the bleachers. Then you gotta park or take the subway in. You want a hot dog or something, but a hot dog isn't really a meal, so you're probably getting dinner afterwards or something. You're looking at $500 for the day.
Yeah, easily.
And that's quite an outing. You can go to the Lowell Spinners and spend $100. It's $10 tickets. The food is a lot cheaper. It's way more sensible for a family of 5, which I'm from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know for a little bit when I was delivering papers for the Lowell Sun, sometimes we got, it was a thing that you can get for free tickets for the Lowell Devils or one of the hockey teams in town. It was fun. Free. It was 4 free tickets. You can just have a good time for the night.
Yeah, go and hang. I love that. Yeah, I need more sports in my life for sure. I miss going to stadiums and I can't remember the last time I sat back and watched a baseball game or something. I'd love to do that, but there's not a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, Nashville does have the Sounds, but
yeah, don't you have a minor league
part
team?
of that, yeah, but part of that is you would want to go with somebody,
That's true. That is true. But hey, that's that. What are we drinking today?
Oh, I'm in a silly, goofy mood today. I'm a silly guy. So I took a walk in the rain today. One, to test out my new Run for Cover Records windbreaker and see how well it repelled the elements. But also to grab myself something to drink because I knew we were going to record. And I decided to go with a tall boy of Twisted Tea which I don't think we've had on the podcast, but for anybody that knows, this is it's like drinking sugar water. It's it's fine.
Oh man.
Somewhere on the Cape, Andy Esborn is pumping his fist in the air and saying, "Yes."
Yeah, I'm not drinking that.
Professor Twister himself.
Oh man. Ooh. Ooh.
It was a crisp
That
opening.
was pretty crisp. Describe the flavor. Give me a flavor profile.
It tastes like sweet tea. I mean, because apparently it is actual brewed tea. And the thing with these is that you never really taste the alcohol. Like it's really, really well masked underneath the what I'm sure is enough sugar to kill a small animal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun time. I have fond memories of drinking twisted tea in college every once in a while. It is a dangerous game though, because you can't really taste the alcohol, so they kind of sneak up on you. Especially during those summer months, you can pound a few of them, and next thing you know, you're a little wobbly.
Yeah, that's true. I am drinking a drink I found from TikTok. I had this TikTok that was going in my timeline that was or For You page or whatever, and it's a drink called Switchel, or it's like hipster Gatorade. So like I was feeling a little bit under the weather today, so it has water, ginger juice in it, some apple cider vinegar, lemon, and like maple syrup. It's pretty good. It kind of tastes like Gatorade, and it's making me feel a little bit better.
Damn, that sounds delicious.
Yeah. It's apparently good for gut health, and it's good for just like recovery and like electrolytes and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna drink this and hopefully feel a little bit better.
Yeah, get yourself back on track.
But let's talk about these Patriots.
Let's talk about those New England Patriots.
So the last time we talked, I was talking y'all off a ledge, saying that we were going to make more moves, don't you worry. And
we fucking told you.
like now, as far as both like Jabril Peppers and Devontae Parker working out goes, I hope they both work out, but I told you so. We would be making more moves. That I love Jabril Peppers. I think he is. Look out for him next year. I think it's a really smart move. He's coming off an injury this year, but I mean, so maybe, hopefully he comes back healthy, like 100%, but...
As is Devontae Parker, right?
I think so too, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Both low like investments. Like we didn't put a lot into them, but I like it.
I like the versatility that Peppers kind of presents, and we've been screaming... I mean, we've been screaming for a couple of years now about the Patriots needing to get like a true like top tier wide receiver, and Devontae Parker, is he a top tier wide receiver? Maybe not, but because I mean when I saw that announcement, right, my first thought was who, and then I started seeing some of the takes come in, and it was mostly a lot of people that were just excited to see the Patriots like make a move at wide receiver. Like that's a big thing that we've needed. And then I saw a take where it actually listed out like everybody in the wide receiver room right now, top to bottom. And now we've got like wide receiver by committee.
Right. And it's starting to look, I like our group now, and where people were saying at the beginning of this offseason, oh, we need to sign someone else. I don't think it's necessarily the biggest need in the draft coming up. I think we could definitely look to have another upgrade there. But I mean, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar, I mean, Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne. Devontae Parker is going to stretch the field. That's his main, like, he will be able to stretch the field. He's a nice deep threat for this team.
And that's the thing that we've been saying again for a couple of years now, is it's not that our wide receiving core is necessarily weak talent-wise. We just haven't had that deep option. And once you have that deep option that other teams have to cover, now all of a sudden, the Jacoby Myers kind of style of wide receiver becomes a lot more, it becomes more of an option because all the heat is not on him, for example.
For sure. And I think I'm mostly excited about Jabril Peppers. I mean, this guy coming out of college, there were talks about him being between safety, maybe even like a weak side linebacker, like a cover linebacker, and corner. He is a versatile guy that can play several different areas of the field. And also in college, he was a really good returner, like punt returner, like special teamer. So he brings a lot to this team.
So he's a Bill Belichick kind of dream.
Well, from what somebody I heard this one take, like they fell in love with him a long time ago, and it's nice that now he's on this team. He found his way to the Patriots because Bill Belichick thinks he's really good. Like these are the type of players Bill wants for his team.
And they're the type of players that, come up big. And especially, again, tying into conversations we've had in the past, like when you kind of look at the locker room as it stands right now, it's gonna be a decent amount of new faces. We still really need to count on the draft this year to plug a couple of holes and hopefully get some kids to come in that can be ready to go day one. But I think that if we can manage to land the draft picks that we need to, they're walking into a locker room with a lot of experience and a lot of like camaraderie and leadership that'll get them up to speed really quickly. And now, then it's just off to the races. So I think it's I'm feeling a bit more optimistic about this upcoming season than I was at this time last year. I think last year it was all question marks all the time, and now looking at some of the moves we've made and looking at kind of where the heads are at, there's still a lot of question marks, and welcome to the NFL offseason.
Right.
But I'm definitely, like, you're starting to see the plan come together a little bit more now, and it's not all question marks. It's just very much like, how much hope can we have that the people who need to step up are going to step up?
Right. And it's very encouraging seeing Mac working out with Kendrick Bourne and JJ Taylor and Jacoby Myers down in Tampa. Like, did you catch some of that?
Yeah, I saw that hop up in the that came up in the Discord. I think it might have been Bobby who posted it. That's the kind of stuff you love to see, just building that relationship and, kind of learning the physical cues of your teammates. Like that kind of preparation almost always results in positive stuff on the field.
Yeah. So, and I don't think the Patriots are done making moves. I think we're still going to see a couple little moves here and there that are going to help improve this team.
I'm thinking we're definitely going to be. I really want to see them try to work out some sort of trade for N'Keal Harry. Just like get anything you can for that guy and just move on. See what we can reasonably get and what we can turn that into.
Yeah,
because he is by far the weakest link. He's definitely the weakest link in the wide receiver room right now, and he's just not needed. We need more anything than that.
Yeah, he's been such a disappointment. He just would never make it work here. I'm trying to be nice here, but I'm just like,
yeah. I don't think he should have been. We should have been trying to wheel and deal him. When he asked for a trade last offseason. And I think it was you that raised the point that if we just cut him, then there's dead cap involved. So trying to see if we can get anything for him, I think would be preferable.
I mean, I know the salary cap is weird. I know if you trade them before June 1st, maybe there's no dead cap, but like if you do it after June 1st, there is dead cap if you trade him. But like, I don't know. I don't want him on the team. He's incompetent.
Yeah, he doesn't run his routes. He's had some impressive plays, but all of those impressive plays have looked like improvisation, which is not usually something that you get from the Patriots. It's not something that Bill looks for in players. It's not something that is really part of like the culture of the team. So we gotta find some way to kind of cut and run and try and make a positive.
That 2019 draft class by the Patriots is looking worse and worse. Ugh, that draft class was terrible. Horrendous.
Just truly horrendous.
Like if we're gonna take a look at, let me take a look at it right here. Yeah, N'Keal Harry in the first round, Joanne Williams, who just hasn't done anything. Chase Winovich, who we just traded, who he couldn't run defend. He was a one-dimensional player. I liked him. I like Wino, but man, he was just so one-dimensional.
He
Damian Harris
never took that step up.
Damian Harris, which, fantastic. It was Jared Stidham, who nothing. And then Jake Bailey, our punter, who, he's been good.
Consistent for sure.
Consistent punter, but he's a punter.
Yeah.
That's about it. That draft class that might be the worst draft class Bill has ever had.
Yeah, and I think people's memories are pretty short. I mean, I don't really buy into the narrative of Bill Belichick not being able to draft, but I think there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that 2019 class. Just whiffed almost across the board.
I think it is. I think this is a hot take. Bill is not that strong at drafting. He has been mostly successful at finding undervalued veterans and making the most out of them and getting the most out of them.
But I think that I fully agree with you, and I think part of the reason there is that he is so monomaniacal about he knows every possible thing that he can about every team that he's going to face. He watches film religiously. He understands all of his opponents. And when you do that, you get a really good sense of who the weapons are, who the key players are, things like that.
For sure.
So it makes absolute sense that if you're laser focused on your opponents at the NFL level, that you're going to be able to find the hidden gems and see the guys that are doing the thing that you need to do, as opposed to college schemes and, these younger kids where they might not necessarily be able to make that jump to the NFL. You can't necessarily apply the same thinking to both of those things. And yeah, Bill might be one of the best eyes for talent in the NFL, but that doesn't necessarily translate to college ball.
No, it doesn't. He, more often than not, his drafts they've been weak. But then again, what have I said in the past? The NFL draft is a crapshoot.
Every time.
Every single year, it's a crapshoot. You don't know if that player is going to actually live up to that potential. You don't know if they're going to get injured. You don't know if they're going to be put in the right situation of where they are going to win and be a good team or be a good player.
Yeah.
Which is why,
there's no way of telling.
Which is why a team like the Rams is yeah, fuck the draft. I'm just going to trade my picks because why would I take a risk on this player when I know this player is already an established great player?
Yeah.
All right, but I like the moves, and let's keep it up.
I'm starting to see the plan come together, and I'm happy about that.
So we have changes to NFL overtime.
Yes, we do.
So the overtime rule, both teams will be able. This is only for the postseason, by the way. Both teams will be able to possess the ball. If you score 8 points, or you go for a 2-point conversion, the game's essentially over at that point. They don't get the ball, the other team. And there's been lots of debate with this. I think a lot of people feel robbed from the Kansas City Chiefs and that Bills game, because we didn't get to see the great finish that it was supposed to have. And there's debates on whether there's people saying that, well, now everyone's just going to ask for the ball second. They're just going to give the ball to the team the first time, and then because they know that they're going to get the ball second and be able to win the game potentially.
That's a pretty big risk to take, though, because it's not like 2-point conversions are that uncommon.
Here's my take. I think if you can't play defense, you don't deserve to win the game.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the thought behind the sudden death.
I'm fine with sudden death. I in theory, all of these things are to drive revenue for the NFL. The NFL only cares about one thing and one thing only, and it's money.
And these new rules could lead to some bigger kind of photo finishes. Yeah, you get, there's a little bit more back and forth. It keeps people engaged. It keeps them watching. So additional ad revenue, the whole deal. I get it.
But the Bills lost that game against the Chiefs because they just couldn't play defense.
Exactly.
They didn't lose because it was determined on a coin flip. There were moments, no game is determined on a coin flip. That's ridiculous. You played a whole you played a whole 16 minutes. There were several plays that determined that game. You just collapsed and didn't play defense. And I would say the same thing if it was the Patriots in this case as well.
Yeah, I mean the entire reason why we won against Kansas City in that AFC Championship game it wasn't because we won the coin flip. It was because Kansas City couldn't put a stop to us.
Well, that and D Ford was offsides.
Well, that too.
That too. That was a big reason.
That screwed them.
Yeah, that screwed them. But yeah, like we'll have to see how it goes. And I mean, there have also been NFL rules that have overturned in the past. Like I remember there was the rule that the Saints pushed for this one. They wanted to make pass interference reviewable. Like you can review it with like a challenge flag or whatever because of that clear defensive interference in like the NFC Championship game. They got rid of that rule like a year later because no one called it or it was never used.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't think this will last.
I'm not entirely mad at the idea. Like I get, especially looking at it through the lens of just like keeping the drama up and keeping people engaged in the game. It could make for some more interesting storylines and some wilder finishes to games. But yeah, I think the point has already been made. Like you don't deserve to win if you can't stop the ball, and that's why overtime is sudden death was sudden death in the NFL. So
yeah, it was sudden death for a while, and then it changed a little bit later. So now, like, if you kick a field goal, the other team can go down the field and kick a field goal as well, or score a touchdown and win the game. I don't know. A lot of people are saying many teams will try to just end the game. Like the first team will try to end the game with the 2-point conversion.
Go for it. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah. All right. And there weren't a lot of other rule changes that happened at the owner meetings. There was, I know that we switched to the NFL, but this is probably one last Patriots point. Like Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia were both at the owners meetings and they were rushing to try to get to the photo for it. And apparently Matt Patricia's job title is kind of interesting because he oversees a lot of things apparently.
Yeah, I'm, no real love lost with Matt Patricia. I think I'm interested to see what he does on the offensive side of the ball. It's one of those question marks for this season is who's the guy in Mac Jones's ear? If it's not Josh McDaniels, who's doing the play calling, who's writing up the schemes? Like if we're not going to put the name offensive coordinator on somebody, then who is the de facto offensive coordinator? And we haven't really gotten a straight answer from anybody about that.
Well, it's that, and also like I think what's a little worrisome is when Bill Belichick originally took the job in 2000, he said the reason he failed in Cleveland was because he was trying to do way too much. And is he trying to do too much with this team now? Like he has his hands in everything. That's you can't do it all.
That's the question.
Especially at his age. I mean, he is 70 years old at this point.
Yeah. Like where do you stretch that delegation muscle?
Yeah. If it's one thing I've learned I'll throw it back to Boy Scouts, for example. The one of the major things I learned in Boy Scouts was delegation. You gotta delegate everything.
Yep, you can't do everything all by yourself.
And we'll see. There's a lot of time left to see what everything's gonna happen or what everything we're gonna see.
Yep, plenty of time for some additional moves, and I'm sure there will be something. There will be plenty of NFL drama to cover because there always is. It's a year-round sport now.
Oh yeah. All right, let's what should we get into?
Let's do a quick couple of minutes on the late Taylor Hawkins, drummer from the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, that fucking sucked to hear about.
Yeah, that was a surprising loss. And weirdly, like he was one of the last like rock gods, you know? Like, so I was talking to somebody about it a couple of days after they had announced him passing. There's not a lot of like celebrity drummers. There's not a lot of celebrity like true rock stars, like guys in like a 4 or 5 piece guitar band that are like household names. And like who's left of like these larger than life like celebrity drummers?
I think
Like who's still out there that everybody knows as like a household name?
I think the only one that's really left would be like Travis Barker.
That's exactly what I said. Like there's no
Like Neil Peart
There-
is gone. Trying to think of like other, there was Keith Moon, John Bonham, like these larger than life drummers. Trying to think of other ones. There was the Rev from Avenged Sevenfold. But like when I think of the Foo Fighters, the first name is always Dave Grohl,
Yeah.
and then immediately following afterwards is Taylor Hawkins.
which is impressive considering the fact that Pat Smear is in the band and Pat Smear was actually in Nirvana with Dave. So like it really kind of says something that when you think Foo Fighters, you really think of Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins.
Well, like those two they would always, when I was like younger, I would always watch interviews with the Foo Fighters, and it was always Dave Grohl, Taylor Hawkins doing all the interview circuits.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's crazy to see him pass and to think like, well, first of all, like what a loss for Dave Grohl. Like he loses his front man when he's a drummer, and now that he's a front man, he loses his drummer. Like that guy's seen a lot of loss. And yeah, it's one of the interesting things about the Foo Fighters as a whole is that I'm not a big Foo Fighters fan. Like I can't discredit them for like what they've done and what they continue to be. But there's like I've never been that into the band outside of the hits, and it's more that I respect what they do and like the way that they've kind of carried themselves as these like elder statesmen of rock music, and that they've gone so far out of their way to kind of bridge the gap between like different genres and different like clubs in popular music. They're always kind of front and center. And I find myself burned out on Dave Grohl every once in a while, and then he usually immediately turns around and does something ridiculously cool, and you're like, oh yes, this is why everybody loves you.
Yeah, like that Hot Ones episode.
Yeah, exactly. Like he just, anytime there's anything to do with guitar music, Dave Grohl always enters the conversation. He's always the talking head in a documentary or something like that. But then he turns around and like does an episode of Hot Ones where he's like, he basically takes over as the host for a little bit, or, he writes this book where he talks about like basically his entire life, and a lot of the stories in it are just like, I can't believe that this is getting written down on paper. Like this is so cool to kind of like live vicariously through or whatever. But he so as much as it would be easy to get burned out on Dave, I never felt that way about Taylor. One, because he's not like, up until his passing, he wasn't usually the one that was like the name in the headline or whatever, but he was very like, you could tell why they were such good friends when they would just talk about music. Like he was just as passionate and just as much of, like an elder statesman of rock and roll. It's a bummer to see him go, but I went back and like did kind of a re-listen of as much of the Foo Fighters catalog as I could get through. And yeah, I'm still not in love with the band, but I was trying to use some of those critical listening skills to listen specifically to the drumming, and the guy is an animal.
He's a great drummer.
Just insane.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He is it's a loss. It sucks. Ugh.
And there were reports about like substances found in his hotel room and in his body and stuff like that, which is also a severe bummer. And it kind of sucks that, within like an hour of his family making a statement and being like, we would really love some privacy at this time. Like within an hour, they were talking about, substances found in the hotel room and everything else. He had had issues in the past. but he didn't look like a guy who had relapsed. Like, he looked perfectly healthy at those last couple of shows that they have videos of. Like, he was up there and full energy, getting up and singing and everything else. It's just, yeah, it's a severe bummer to hear about that.
Yeah, it's felt weird watching the Grammys, like the tributes to him, and also like hell, they were supposed to play the Grammys,
Yeah.
and they were like I remember Trevor Noah, he was like, yeah, we Foo Fighters were supposed to play this, but unfortunately they won't be able to play, so we have a tribute to Taylor. Very nicely done. But damn, it just that just terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. But moving on to sunnier topics. You mentioned the Grammys. Let's talk about it a little bit. I did not watch. I haven't had any real follow up with it. There was nothing about the lead up to the Grammys this year that had me the least bit interested in paying attention.
I watched a little bit of it. Luckily with YouTube TV, I can rewind it, be able to watch like the parts that I want to watch. So I caught like the performances. Man, they did a terrible job of trying to censor it. I will say that.
Yeah, it's
it was,
and it's fun.
It was good though.
It's funny that they do even try, because like, especially like nobody goes to the Grammys and really does anything new. Like, they're playing songs that are like in the public consciousness, right? So like we all know where the swears are, where the cusses are, where the, you know, inappropriateness or whatever is. Like, if that's something that's going to offend you, maybe don't watch the Grammys.
I love
But if you are watching the Grammys, like, you probably already know about the song, so why are we bothering?
That's true. I loved a Lil Nas X song. What is it? Industry Baby with like Jack Harlow.
Yeah, I think I saw a clip
And
of
like
that.
Jack Harlow, so there's a line in his verse where it's like, send your girl back with my hand on her, or send your girl back to her boyfriend with my hand on her ass cheek. And instead of saying that, like, he just takes the mic and he like swings it back and
he swings it.
Like, I thought that, I was cracking up. I thought that was hilarious. I think that's a funny line either way. But we got some interesting winners here. So for record of the year, we had Leave the Door Open, Silk Sonic as a winner. And God, their speech when they accepted it was hilarious. Bruno Mars whips out a cigarette and starts smoking it straight on stage.
All right.
That was hilarious. I thought that was very funny. Song of the year, Leave the Door Open, Silk Sonic.
I mean, that release had a vice grip on people. And honestly, I had kind of forgotten about Silk Sonic until you just mentioned it now.
What a good project.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I remember listening to it, and it's, you know, whoever told Bruno Mars that his next step after the like bubblegum kind of pop stuff that he was doing when he first came around, whoever sat back and was like, my man, 60s and 70s like retro pop, just go for it.
Yeah.
Whoever did that was right on the money.
Well, like, I remember Justine and I were driving recently, and it was like that Bruno Mars song, I'd Catch a Grenade for You, which is so bad. That is not one of Bruno Mars's better songs. I'm like, I just can't get behind this record. Everything else he's done after this, yeah, but this is terrible.
Yeah, he was like right before he really leaned into kind of the retro stuff. Was like when he joined Red Hot Chili Peppers for like the Super Bowl, and just profoundly uninteresting music, and his features on everything when he was first kind of breaking out. I remember just being like, really, this guy again?
Right. Album of the year.
And then
go ahead.
No, and now he's here, and it's like, wow, what a like obviously great voice. That hasn't changed, but he actually does some interesting stuff. So I'm not mad at Silk Sonic winning Grammys.
For sure. Album of the year, We Are by Jon Batiste. Don't really know that record, but it went up against Happier Than Ever by Billie Eilish, Planet Her, Doja Cat, Montero, Little Nas X, Sour, Olivia Rodrigo, a couple other ones.
That is a wild lineup.
Best new artist.
And-
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that that's a wild lineup, but I mean, I know John Baptiste is outside of my wheelhouse for sure.
Oh, same.
But he's always talked about in like revered tones. Like he does seem to be just like a musician's musician. So in that respect, I guess him winning that is kind of a win for us all.
Yeah. Best new artist, Olivia Rodrigo. You know, usually best new artist is a little flawed because, I mean, especially like last year, I think Phoebe Bridgers was in this category, and she had been around for years. But
Yeah.
Olivia Rodrigo is definitely new.
Just she hasn't even done her first full tour yet, right?
She hasn't. You want to know? It's very funny. She couldn't get into the Spotify new artist party because she's not 21.
Wow.
She's like 18, dude. Just a little baby.
That's insane.
Best pop solo performance, Driver's License, Olivia Rodrigo. Best pop duo or group performance, Kiss Me More by Doja Cat featuring SZA, which that's a pretty good song.
An inescapable song too.
Oh yeah, you couldn't get away from that one. Best traditional pop album, Love for Sale, Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga. Okay. Best pop vocal album, Olivia Rodrigo's Sour. Going up against some pretty stiff competition, like Justice by Justin Bieber, Planet Her, Doja Cat, Happier Than Ever, Billie Eilish, Positions, Ariana Grande. That's steep.
And those are all inescapable songs.
Best dance recording, we have Alive by Rufus Du Sol. Best rap album, we had Call Me If You Get Lost, Tyler the Creator. No, it's interesting to see the projection of Tyler the Creator's career, because I remember Odd Future and listening to that in high school and listening to Goblin by him, and he would say some pretty wild like shit in those songs back in the day. Like, so it's weird for me to be like, oh, people, Tyler the Creator, really?
Yeah, he's like a respected popular musician now, as opposed to the kid from Odd Future that said a bunch of stuff that you would listen to outside of your parents' earshot.
Oh yeah. I wonder if he's still banned from performing in Boston.
It's a good question.
Do you know about that story?
I knew that he was banned.
So
I don't think I knew why.
apparently they were doing like a signing on Newbury Street. Like this was like 10 plus years ago. And they were just being stupid fucking kids, and they were running on like rooftops on Newbury Street, jumping from one rooftop to the other one.
Oh wow.
So they were like, nope, you're banned.
BPD was like, nope, none of that.
Yeah. Best rap performance, Family Ties, Baby Keem and Kendrick Lamar. Best rap song, we had Jail by Kanye West and Jay-Z. Best Latin pop album, we had Mendo by Alex Cuba. Best music urban record, so it is Spanish. It is Bad Bunny winning that category. Best American Roots performance, we have Cry by John Batiste. Best R&B performance, we have a tie between Silk Sonic, Leave the Door Open, and Pick Up Your Feelings by Jasmine Sullivan. I don't know how there's a tie.
It was a tie. Wow.
I don't know. There's also another tie thrown in here as well, but we'll get to that.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Ugh. Best R&B song, Leave the Door Open, Silk Sonic. Man, what a clean...
They just cleaned up.
What a cleanup. Best R&B record, we had Hoax Tales by Jasmine Sullivan. Best country solo performance, You Should Probably Leave by Chris Stapleton, who I like Chris Stapleton. Pretty good. If I had to pick somebody in country, I would pick him.
Yeah.
Best country duo group performance, Younger Me by Brothers Osborne. Remember they played my venue this summer, so that was cool. Best country song, Cold by Chris Stapleton. Best country album, Starting Over, Chris Stapleton. Best rock performance, Making a Fire, Foo Fighters. Man, you look at the rock options and they're
Slim
it
pickings.
is so It's not even. I'm not even mad about who wins here. It's just the overall nominees. Like, how do you not put in like that's Turnstile Record, and how do you not put in like some other really fantastic rock albums from the past
And
year?
it was like it was part of the pre-nomination process too, and
Yeah.
that's yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why it's just like it's hard to care about. It's hard to care about that. So like I get the appeal of award shows. I didn't really pay attention to the Oscars this year either. There was just too many other things, and it just wasn't a thing that was like particularly interesting to me, especially after 2 years of not being able to like go to movie theaters.
Yeah, keep my name out of your fucking mouth.
That we got that got enough coverage that it reached me.
Oh man.
But that's it's one of the interesting things is that like as a dude that's so into music from production to performance to like the whole deal, like the Grammys never seem to be actually representative of anything besides just like what's popular and who has paid their dues to the industry for long enough that they deserve an award. And then you get to something like the Oscars where it's like I've seen a lot of those movies, I've listened to like I've followed them through their productions and things like that. So you get like there's a hype behind waiting for those movies to come out, having them come out, having an opinion about them, and then at the end of the year turning around and being like, oh yeah, I remember that movie. Is that a Best Picture nominee? Is that whatever? As opposed to the Grammys where it's just like, I listened to that Olivia Rodrigo album. I got a lot of issues with the production there. So,
Oh, I didn't even know that.
oh man, it's funny. It's funny that one song, people always make the jokes about comparing it to Misery Business by Paramore. And I'm like, so right about here was the point where Dan's recording decided to cut off for technical reasons that are beyond either of our understandings. So what you're about to hear is a re-recording the next day. I hope you enjoy.
This is round 2 because my recording software failed on me. So this is a 2-dayer. I see AJ is about to crack open a cold one, so I'll let him do that.
I dragged that one out a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, welcome back to the Back of Your Run podcast, blah, 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 blah. Like, you heard this beforehand. So we're just going to pick up where we left off and where my recording failed.
So that's really either a good or a bad thing, depending on where you fall on Olivia Rodrigo and Machine Gun Kelly. Because you guys basically missed it, I went on a little bit of a rant. The waveform is looking pretty long. Basically, just to sum it all up, we've expressed excitement beforehand and on previous episodes, basically about the fact that, guitar music is coming back and it's a big thing. And Olivia Rodrigo made her kind of statement at the Grammys this year about, well, she didn't make the statement. They give her awards for being, the new Avril Lavigne pop punk princess, whatever you want to call it.
Right, yeah.
And, I don't want to sound...
You just disagree with it.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like an old man. I don't want to sound ancient. But yeah,
Too late, you already do.
I always do, man. Yeah, the production's just not there for me, especially on that album Sour. And then I kind of went off on a tangent about how, as exciting as it was to see a couple of hits and things like that on Tickets to My Downfall, which was Machine Gun Kelly's last record, the new record is just it
Bad.
Yeah, it just strikes me as so
Bad.
phoned in and cash grabby, and I think we kind of covered it when we went track by track on that album. Tickets to My Downfall was really interesting in that way, where it was just like, I can't tell if this is tongue in cheek or if you really can't read the room. And calling the album mainstream sellout and putting out the songs that he did kind of leaves me with a bad taste in my mouth about Machine Gun Kelly. And my basic thoughts with Olivia Rodrigo last night were, okay, there's a foundation there. I get kind of what she's going for, what her producers were going for, and everything else. I think production-wise, they absolutely missed the mark. And, you know, there's some songwriting potential there, but she's got to step it up, and maybe her big, not stadium tour, but her first like actual tour, maybe that will open up some avenues and show, you know, some like even more potential there. Or maybe it's just maybe the two biggest names in quote unquote pop punk right now are both duds. I don't know.
Well, I think the jury is still out on Olivia because she is so young into her career. So I'm looking forward to her next album or project that she does. And whether it goes more towards this pop punk flavor or it goes more pop, I'm just looking forward to see what she does in the future. That's all I have to say about that.
There's potential there. It's just gotta, you know, whoever's producing album number 2 or EP number 2, although she's a major label artist, so chances of an EP are slim. Yeah, just there's driving songs on that album. I get why people like it. I get the intent behind it, but those recordings just miss the mark, and they miss the mark by quite a bit. So I hope that something cool comes out of it, and that it keeps the kids involved with guitar music for a little bit. But it's just what's there is not really worthy of my praise, in my opinion. And it's weird. The other half of the tangent was basically sitting back and talking about the rock categories in this year's Grammys and being like, man, you're going to award just objectively bad production when you have something like Turnstile, which is, you know, people talk about crossover hits.
Well, it's not only that, it's the fact that, like, for example, like a band like AC/DC hit their commercial peak in like 1980. Like, and I mean, the Grammys don't care about rock and metal in general. I was watching a video today. Joey Jorgensen from Slipknot, who was a Grammy winner, was nominated for several Grammys with Slipknot, was not a part of the artist moratorium. That's a terrible look.
Yeah, it's the interesting thing about the Grammys, right? Like, you can't cover it all. You can't do everything, and I get that. And you have to just go straight down the middle. You got to do, from a programming standpoint, what's going to get the most people involved and what's going to get the most people to tune in. But you really couldn't find anything interesting. You couldn't actually present something new.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are tons of cool artists that are doing interesting things, but we have like that crossover appeal, like Olivia Rodrigo, that creates mass appeal, and Machine Gun Kelly. We're going to be stuck with AC/DC and the Rolling Stones winning Grammys for all of eternity.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be like that. There is not the fervor for guitar music that there was back in the day, and that just, in kind of a gatekeepy way, that's kind of cool because it forces you to do your homework. So like 13-year-old AJ is perfectly fine with that. Like, you know, you want the people that are involved to be involved and to put their money where their mouth is, but also, like, there were a lot of rock records last year, and this is what you're giving us?
I mean, they're not the bench Grammys aren't the bench of like high grade music that me and you are into. I think that's probably why I think as long as I have followed music, I've never been a big Grammy watcher up until recently. But beforehand, I'm like, no band I care about is nominated. Why should I watch?
Exactly.
But I think that's it with following up with the Grammys. Also, I said AC/DC as an example because they are in the nomination category. When, I mean, come on, find some other people, find some other groups. Let's move on to Joyce Manor's album that just turned 10 years old.
Yep. I know for a fact that at the top of the episode, we talked about the fact that they have a new album coming out, and they announced it the day after the 10-year anniversary of All Things I Will Soon Grow Tired, which was their second LP.
Yes.
Let's dig deep. Let's try and remember some of the things that we talked about yesterday that were not actually recorded.
Right. So this is 13 minutes long, 9 songs. So it's a quick listen to. Like I guess you can even say this is like an EP. I one of the main points that we made yesterday was, or at least I did, my favorite track off this record, or one of the highlights from this record, is "Video Killed the Radio Star." That's one song I really remember from this record. You don't particularly care for it, or you didn't care for it at the moment.
Yeah, when I first came across the record, it was not one of my favorites, especially on such a short album. Including a cover like that is just a little weird. Like I was aware of the band right around the time the album came out. Like you want new things, and they do put a really interesting twist on that song, but I don't think it's necessarily like the strongest point of the album. My favorite song for sure is "If I Needed You There," which it's all of a minute and 30 seconds or something, and it's just very like frenetic, energetic punk music. And that's one of the most interesting things about this album is when it came out and when Joyce Manor first kind of came onto the scene, they were lumped in with, the genre that everybody associated with them was pop punk.
Which is interesting because this is not, I've never thought about this band as a pop punk band. I mean, maybe if they came out when the Descendants were a band, like in their peak, I know the Descendants are still a band, but when the Descendants were doing like Milo Goes to College and all that kind of stuff, and like the Queers were around, I would say, yeah, this is kind of pop punk, but this is more just indie rock, pop punk. Yeah. Yeah,
and I think that's part of the reason why I never really got that classification for this band. And I think it was partly just the like Tumblr scene at the time really kind of latched on to calling anything with melody and driving guitars pop punk. But one of the points that we had made was there's kind of the transition from punk to pop punk can kind of be categorized into 4 eras. So you have like punk in the 80s leaning into the 90s. Think, for example, the Ramones, to some extent Dead Kennedys, although they were a little bit more hardcore, with a lot of melody. Right. And then you get the kind of initial explosion of Green Day and the Descendants. After that comes New Found Glory, Fall Out Boy, that like Fueled by Ramen kind of thing, where it really became like a mainstream staple for a couple of years. And then definitely the modern era of pop punk. Well, I think both you and I could argue that the modern era of pop punk probably started with A Loss for Words, maybe a little bit before that, but really the band that everybody would think of is The Story So Far.
Yeah, Story So Far, State Champs, those type of bands.
Yeah, and I think Joyce Manor has way more in common with Dead Kennedys and the Ramones, like that original melodic punk, like pop songwriting, pop sensibilities, but punk music, melodic punk. They had way more to do with that than, the hardcore tinged, super tuned vocal pop punk that most kids would think of now.
Yeah, I mean, Joyce Manor, like when I think of like The Story So Far, like when I think of like Undersoiled in Dirt and From What You Can't See and like some of those other pop punk records of that era, like they're polished. There's like a level of like polishedness to them. Not really raw. Like it's very clean recordings. This is kind of lo-fi. This is raw. This is fast, aggressive. It's you can make out everything, but there's some element of like when in the past where I've said like, oh, everything sounds pretty big. This doesn't sound big. It's like very scrunky, very like in your face.
Yeah, it's that
it's hard to describe.
Yeah, it doesn't sound. This album does not sound. This is going to sound negative, but it's part of the reason why it's endeared me so much to the band. It doesn't sound thought out and planned. It sounds very spontaneous from the production all the way down to the songwriting. Like the album is 13 minutes long, did we say?
Yeah. 13 minutes long.
It's very much just, oh, we've got this melody, we've got this guitar riff, like put it together. Yeah, cool. That's a song, which is why it has so much more in common with like early Touche Amore, like bands that we think of as being at kind of the forefront of hardcore these days. It's that immediacy, that quickness, that like, we've got the thing, we've done it, don't overthink it, just put it to tape and get it out there.
For sure. And now that I'm looking at it, they worked with Jack Shirley, who he is a great fit for this record. To give like an example, he worked with Jeff Rosenstock on all of his records, which, I mean, you can hear if you listen to Jeff Rosenstock and compare it to Of All the Things I Will Soon Grow Tired Of. I mean, it's pretty accurate, pretty much like the same kind of vibe. He worked with Whir. He worked with Punch, which is a pretty good like hardcore punk band from back in the day. Like, I love to see when bands work with like a good producer, or like I mean, it's one thing to work with a good producer, but like a producer that will work to the band's strengths.
Yeah.
And Jack seems to be doing a good job. Has a really good grasp of that.
Yeah, and I think that's something to kind of tie it back into the conversation that we had yesterday and that we touched on during this re-recording session, right? It's one of the things that endears me so much to these kind of, I don't even like using the word counterculture anymore, so I guess underground bands. They seem to find these producers that have a intrinsic understanding of what the band is and what their sound is and how to best serve that. It's not a Chris Lord Alge, to use a big producer name, or I cannot for the life of me remember the guy from Goldfinger who's done like Blink-182 albums and stuff. I can picture his face.
I mean, I'm not going to name that name, but like if like Jack Antonoff worked on this record instead of Jack Shirley, totally different.
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
And Jack Antonoff is very talented. He has produced and recorded some fantastic records, and I'm sure he can. If you wanted to do a punk record, he sure as hell could.
Definitely.
But maybe not the best one for a band like Joyce Manor, for example. Not that Joyce Manor would work with Jack Antonoff, but I'm just using that as an extreme example.
Well, and now that you say it, as somebody that loves those like juxtaposition kind of things and that weird, like, there's no reason for these two things to collaborate, but they do, like, I know Epitaph doesn't have that kind of money, even though they're basically considered a major label now. And I know that Joyce Manor would probably balk at the idea, but now that you've mentioned it, I would love to hear what a Jack Antonoff produced Joyce Manor record sounds like. That'd be sick.
Or if Jack Antonoff produced like another punk band record. I'm trying to think of like a noteworthy one, like.
Oh, you know who I would love to hear work with Jack Antonoff, and I'm sure that this is going to piss off every like true punk head that listens to this podcast.
Sure.
Jack Antonoff and Fall Out Boy?
I was just about to say that suggestion, cuz I think that'd be a really
that
good
would
fit.
That would be a fucking fantastic pop record, man.
Like, Pat and Pete are good at songwriting, and Jack Antonoff, I'm sure, can bring out the most of those guys.
Yeah, I think that to an extent, the producer and the band would be kind of opposing forces, but I would love to see that would be a really cool collaboration. I'm not mad at that idea. So
we're getting off topic here.
Well, I think to bring it back home, I think the one conversation that we had that did not get caught on the record yesterday was an interesting story about the album Of All Things I Will Soon Grow Tired. And we've already touched on the fact that, Joyce Manor was being lumped in after their first full length, which was their self-titled LP. They were getting lumped in with pop punk. That was the genre. And there's an interview with Barry, who is the frontman of Joyce Manor, where he talks about, reading about himself online. And I can't for the life of me find this interview, but I remember reading about it or hearing it or something. He talks about the fact that this album was kind of an overcorrection for being labeled that way. They were being lumped in with pop punk the same way that a band like Basement was getting called soft grunge or whatever because of their 90s influences. Super Heaven's another great example.
Right.
And basically they set out to just make the quickest, dirtiest punk album that they could. And I think they really succeed at that. And I think that's why, gun to my head, this is probably still my favorite Joyce Manor record. And there's nothing that they've put out that has really offended me. The LP after this, Never Hung Over Again, Cody, which was the next LP after that. They've got a new one called 40 Ounces to Fresno, which, what a fucking great name for an album.
That's an awesome name.
Like,
they consistently put out good records, and sometimes I'm late to check them out, but I'm like, to me it's like I'll be late to check out like a Frank Turner record, but I know that Frank Turner record is good, and I know these records are good too. I've never been disappointed by an album by Joyce Manor.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing for me. Like, I have never been first in line. I've never done the pre-order thing for this band, unfortunately. I've seen them twice, and both times were kind of on a whim, but every time Joyce Manor comes on, it's interesting because it's one of the bands that I know the minute I hear a song, even if I haven't heard it before, immediately it's like, oh my God, that's Joyce Manor. Man, fuck, I love this band. I gotta, like, they're putting out something new. I gotta go check it out. So knowing that they've got a first single and a new album coming out this time is kind of a step forward for me, because I've never been in that position before. I've never been ahead of the curve with this band. It's always been reactionary.
Right. Same for me. I haven't checked out their new song yet, but I will probably take a listen to it after I finish up recording this.
Yeah, I think one of the other reasons why I was so kind of hot to talk about this album in particular is they're one of the very, very few bands that I would argue hasn't really changed their sound all that much. There's not, like, the songwriting is just consistently good. They occupy their lane really well. I don't think they're really pushing the envelope.
No, but like sometimes, I mean, I don't think every band you listen to needs to be pushing the envelope. But I also think they're not consistently making the same album every single time. I mean, they're all short songs, but like Barry's a really good lyricist and a really good creator of melodies. And now that I think about it, if we're really going to go down to the core of what pop punk is and what pop music is, maybe they are a pop punk band. Maybe just not in the traditional, like, modern sense.
I think I agree with that argument.
I'm like talking myself into it now. That I'm like, I guess it. Well, but like then again, like you could call anything a pop, like kind of pop though. I mean, good songwriting is good songwriting.
Yeah, it's as far as the genre goes, it's a beauty is in the eye of the beholder kind of deal, right?
For sure.
And I think that's one of the things. It's easy to paint something into a corner, and it makes for interesting conversation, but it's not, it's not the point. Like, a good song is a good song, and it doesn't matter what kind of tag you put on it. It's just a good song. This band just does what they do at a level that I don't think a lot of other bands that claim punk or pop punk or hardcore or name a genre, they do it at a level that a lot of other bands can't do, and definitely can't do consistently. So to say that they're not necessarily pushing the envelope is not a dig, and it's not even a criticism. It's just it's what makes this band unique is that Joyce Manor is Joyce Manor. Like, there's no mistaking this sound or this vocalist or this band as a whole. They just do what they do, and they do what they do better than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, can tell pretty distinctly by the guitar tone and Barry's vocals. I mean, that's what I find interesting. Like, when you distinctly know a band by the guitar tone that they have. I mean, how many guitar tones are there? But you could pick out a Joyce Manor song pretty easily. Or, I mean, another one that comes to my mind is Tiny Moving Parts. Like, that's a very distinct band that, like, it's like, oh, that's Tiny Moving Parts. Mm-hmm. I can tell by that guitar tone that they always use.
It's That's the kind of thing that sets a band apart in a scene that's so just overcrowded. And I think you could make a solid argument that Joyce Manor is probably the torchbearer for more traditional, quote unquote, punk music. Like this band, I think, is the sound of punk in 2022.
They are. I mean, if you think about, if you listen to them and then listen to like a Ramones song, for example, Ramones they're very simple songs. They're like a minute or two long. They're fast, catchy, good melody, like good lyrics. Well, I mean, but they're not world beaters.
Yeah.
Neither is Joyce Manor.
It's comparing Joyce Manor to the Ramones is not only being in the same ballpark, to put it into sports terms, because this is the Packy Run. They're not just in the same ballpark, they're in the same infield. They're playing on the same diamond.
That's an interesting take. Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
Am I saying either band is my favorite or even the top of, the punk game? No. But it's such an interesting thought when you think critically about this band in particular. They do what they do so well. They own this kind of this niche, this corner. They own it so well that,
I mean, they've had a really solid career. They sell out some pretty large rooms consistently, or like they go on tour with like large rooms, and they have interesting crossover appeal. I'm sure if they really wanted to, they could go higher, go for like tour with like a band like open up for like Green Day or something like that. I'm just using that as an example. I'm sure they could be capable of that, but they stick to their roots, and like they tour with, like, for example, The Story So Far that's coming up, which that's a really cool tour.
That is a stacked tour. And I haven't looked that hard, but if they are coming to Nashville, that's going to be one that's hard to miss. Yeah, I
think Microwave is on that tour too.
Yeah, there's another example of a band that does really just seem to like sit in their corner and sit really well. And Microwave had some label mix-ups and some other stuff, and I'm sure we'll get into Microwave because those first two LPs are very meaningful to me. But yeah, like, I think if anybody listening to this has not taken some time and listened to Joyce Manor, it's about time that you do, because that band definitely deserves their due. And if this new single is anything to go off of, and for those of us in the know, if this new track listing and time for the LP, which is this upcoming LP, is going to be 19 minutes, like, it's not that much of your time. I would highly recommend you go and check this band out. This, of all things, I Will Soon Grow Tired is just great, just classic punk. Just take some time, listen to it. I think you're probably going to find something in it.
For sure. And do we have anything else we want to discuss about that?
I think we're good on Joyce Manor. Has anything happened in the past 24 hours that you feel the need to share with the class?
No, nothing notable. I did start Man in the Arena. That's pretty good so far. I'll probably have more thoughts once I get through more of the series, but I'm kind of like, oh man, I should have watched this earlier, but whatever. I'm doing it now. I have Hulu. I'm watching it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think for any of the sports fans within the sound of my voice, or even if you're not really a sports fan, if you just want to, even if you're passively aware of the NFL, Tom Brady has a lot of weight behind his name, but Man in the Arena on Hulu is a really interesting take, because it's not just the Tom Brady story. It's told, Tom just kind of narrates it, and the story is really told through the games and the overarching themes of the season.
Right.
It's a really cool kind of inside baseball take on his career. And yeah, I really enjoyed watching all those episodes. If that's something that you think might even be kind of up your alley, probably worth a watch.
The only other thing I will say about this, and it'll be the final thing I say, it gave me a lot. I already had a ton of respect for Drew Bledsoe, but it gave me even more respect, and I think for Drew Bledsoe. And man, it's hard to watch somebody else take your job from you and never let go of it. And the level of humility and the level of just putting aside his ego, that is tough. And that just makes me put even more respect to him. So that's all I can say.
Yeah, definitely a stronger man than I in that respect.
I don't know how many other people could handle that situation, because that's tough and
consistently too.
That just shows like his type of character too. Like he is just a good guy inside and out, and he wanted what's best for the team. And like, okay, well, I'm not gonna make a big scene. I'm just gonna put my head down, and if Tom needs me, I'm gonna be there. And you know what? Tom did end up getting hurt in the AFC Championship game in 2001, and
he stepped right up.
Drew was there. Yeah, he stepped right up, stepped right to the plate. So I think, hats off to him. I think that's a very admirable, a very good guy.
Yeah, I like seeing it. I like hearing about it. Yeah, Man in the Arena on Hulu or ESPN Plus, one or both. Go check it out.
Let's get into our recs.
Let's get into our recs.
I think my rec is just one song, and it's by State Champs. I'm not a State Champs guy, like fan, but this new song that they put out, Everyone But You, is a fucking banger. It gives like that like early 2000s like Sum 41 like pop punk vibes. It's a fun party song, so definitely check that out. I think it's great.
My recommendation for this week. Honestly,
so much silence.
Yeah. My recommendation for this week would be the weather's been getting a little bit better down here in Nashville. I know I haven't given this recommendation, but it's definitely not going to surprise anybody, especially based off of this conversation that we're having. I'd recommend go re-listen to some Fall Out Boy. I think that especially the past almost 10 years, 9 years, basically since they came back, listen to some late stage Fall Out Boy, like after they came back from the hiatus. I think we need to put a little bit more respect on their name. That band is made of 4 hardcore kids from Chicago that wrote, I would argue, some of the best pop rock music that we're probably going to hear in our lifetimes. And the 3 albums that they put out since they came back from hiatus, you got to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. They're a pop band. I get it. But name me another band where it's 2 guitars, bass guitar, drums. They don't rest on their laurels. They're not retreading old ground ever. There's something about that band that just continues to impress me, even if it takes months for me to kind of get through and appreciate what they're doing at the time. Go listen to some Fall Out Boy. I think that band's better than anybody really gives them credit for, and I will take that to my grave.
Wow, that's we need some boo sound effects for that.
Boo this man, boo.
Boo. Twitter jail, that's where you go back.
Am I in Twitter jail, or did I break out and now you're sending me back?
I am sending you back. Do not collect $200.
Do not pass go.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
All right. Well,
I think we're just going to leave it there.
Well, we finished it up. We got the thing done. I'm going to go put this all together and disappoint a lot of people. Well, not a lot of people, but there's definitely people that thought that Tom Brady was going to be on this episode, and I'm not sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. April Fools.
April Fools.
Enjoy the rest of April.
April Fools, what, 7 days later?
Yeah, I guess so.
We dragged it out. You can't blame us.
Yeah. Well, I guess now. I mean, the next time we record it will be now. So you will be hearing this episode tomorrow, April 7th. But we'll talk to you guys hopefully next week.
I think that's going to be the plan. We'll see what comes up and give you your usual whatever it is we do.
That is true.
All right, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.